everyone, and welcome to Time and Money Mastery. We are your co-hosts. I'm Indiana.
And I'm Sam. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on any of our episodes. Now, let's get started. Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Time and Money Mastery. It's your co-host Sam here, and in today's episode, I'm going to talk you through my end of month review process. It's actually perfectly timed to when I'm recording this because it's the end of April, so I'm actually going to go through this process with you and do it myself. You know, I kind of felt as though I had very little to show for this month, when in reality, I actually have heaps to show for this month, and I only really realized that when I started going through this process and I was like, hang on a minute, why am I not recording a podcast episode all about this? So I stopped. I'm going to do it all over again, but do it live with you guys now so that you can also get the benefits of going through this end of month review process. Now, there will be a free downloadable that I'll make live in our Facebook community. So make sure you follow the show notes to join so that you can follow along and do the process with me. Otherwise, you can just pull up your calendar or your journal or your planner or whatever else you want to use. Honestly, if you don't have any of those things, you could probably just pull up like the notes app on your phone and it'll still be a lot better than not doing this process at all. So don't let any lack of resources stop you, and let's get going, because this end of month review process, it's so important because not only does it allow you to sort of self-evaluate and to constantly improve, it's also absolutely pivotal to time mastery, you know, to making the most of our time and getting everything that we can out of the time that we're given. And the reason for this is because the end of month review process is twofold. It first gives us the opportunity to reflect back and look at what was, but it also gives us the opportunity to look forward into the not so distant future to set some plans and to make some commitments. Now, in the past, I used to just set some goals for each month, you know, chuck on some photos on a digital vision board for my phone and kind of decide what I was going to focus on in that month. But I wouldn't really I might put it down on paper, might stick it on that vision board, but it was never really as intentional as it probably could have been and as intentional as it is now. And I've noticed that since implementing this process, it's actually it seems as though my goals happen almost a lot quicker than they would have otherwise, because you'll have to see for yourself. And once you get this process done and you've gone through a month or maybe 2 months through this process, come back and let me know how it's changed your life, because I know that it absolutely will. But anyway, the reason why it's important to do both sides is because if you only do one side, you only get half of the picture, right? You only get the half where you're thinking about the future, what you want to get out of the month, but you're not really getting any of the lessons that you might have learned or that you could have learned from the month that just passed. You know, when we set goals or make plans without reflecting back, it's almost like we're doing it blind. You know, we actually have no idea where we're starting from. And you know, at any point, I believe that we have two choices about where we start anything. We can start from the beginning, or we can start from experience. And any experience, whether it feels relevant or not, can be super helpful in getting you to take action, to build momentum, but also to get some pretty incredible results in your life. You know, some examples in my own life, you know, I felt like such a beginner when I first started coaching, but then I realized that my seemingly irrelevant experience writing blog posts actually helped me to craft my coaching documents and, you know, create the marketing copy that I would eventually use to invite clients to work with me. And, you know, I felt like such a beginner when I started lifting weights at the gym. But then I realized, you know, the seemingly irrelevant experience of getting, you know, setting my commitments, getting it into my calendar really supported the training regime that I was trying to build, because I already had the habit of consistency, or the habit of constantly showing up, of making the commitment and sticking through and following through on my actions. You know, because of that, I was able to progress in my training so much faster, and I wasn't actually a beginner for very long. You know, if I didn't have those predetermined skills or pre-utilized skills and didn't actually make the connection that I could use those skills in a different situation, it might have been, or probably would have been, a lot more painful getting into weightlifting and training and all that sort of stuff. I don't know why I struggled with that for a second. I was like, it's called weightlifting, right? Clearly I haven't been to the gym in a while. But anyway, so the point I'm trying to illustrate here is that no matter what, we can learn from our experiences. There is always something to take away from everything, whether it's a lesson about what we did, a lesson about the world, or a lesson about ourselves. And so by taking the time to reflect back on the month that was, you will ensure that no potential lesson goes unnoticed. Because after all, how many life-changing ideas does it take to change your life? It's a trick question. The answer is one. So let's just start reliving all of these incredible moments of the last month. I have 5 questions for you to answer, and I'm going to go through and give you my examples as I go on. So question 1 is, what is one incredible memory from the last month? Is it time spent with family? Is it an event you went to? Is it a book you started reading, or maybe a TV show you started and possibly finished? For me, for the month of April 2021, the most memorable experience, actually I have 2. One's like great and one's like not so great. So the one that's great is that 2 of my closest friends actually had their baby. There's just been so much love and joy and celebration. We've been able to spend time with them, with our wider friendship group, and really just celebrate the next chapter in their lives. We haven't been able to meet the baby just yet, but that's just another thing to look forward to. The not so good thing that was very memorable is Glenn needing to have surgery because he broke his finger. Like, he's never broken anything in his life, hasn't fractured anything in his entire life. And so it was quite a process. I've never been through anything like that either. And so going through like a whole surgery for it and just all of it, that was definitely memorable. But yes, as I said, one good, one not so good. So take a second now to write down one or maybe a few incredible memories from the last month. What happened? How did it feel? Write down some details and allow yourself to experience it all over again. Only if it's a good one, though. If it's a negative one, I would probably just think about what you could take from it, but then say thank you and leave it in the past month. If you're struggling to find something as well, I would recommend checking back into your calendar to see what you've put in your schedule, or even pulling out your phone and scrolling through some of the photos you took. It's actually incredible because I go through my phone every couple of months to, take some of the photos out so I have more space for new ones. And I just end up scrolling through my photos for hours, and I'm reminiscing. I resend photos to people who were at the events that I was capturing in the photos. And it's an incredible way to relive memories. And it means that we're getting so much more value because we're experiencing the joy and the love and the celebration more than once. And so that'll be my recommendation there. Now, if you need to pause, make sure you do so to write all your answers down, but I'm just going to keep powering through these questions. So question 2 invites you to share your gratitude. Now, I'm sure that I don't need to tell you about the benefits of practicing gratitude. So the question to answer is, who or what are you grateful for over the last month? And again, you can scroll through your calendar or your photos to get some inspiration if you're stuck. Now, I do my gratitude practice in a very intentional way. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think I got it from anyone. I think it was kind of just piecing together the different gratitude practices of people that I know have been practicing gratitude. So I'll explain kind of what I do, and then I'll do it live so that you can understand what I mean. So I answer this question in 3 parts. First part is gratitude about things that have happened and things I've received. The second part is gratitude about people I've interacted with and why I'm grateful for them. And part number 3 is gratitude about myself and at least one way that I can celebrate how I showed up in the last month. And the key to this is that when I'm reflecting on gratitude about people, including myself, so this I actually got from my coaching mentor, but when I reflect on gratitude about people, including myself, I make sure to reflect the gratitude on something that I'm grateful for that's related to who they are, not what they do for me. So I'm going to actually go through the process so you can hear what I mean. So let me do the first one. The first is gratitude about things that have happened or things that I've received. So I'm grateful that our 2 friends had their baby, and this little bundle of joy has joined our lives. She's already brought so much joy to everyone, and we haven't even met her yet. It's literally just been photos and stories, and so I just can't wait to meet her. Grateful to have close friends who are practically family that we've known now for over a decade. Literally, we were attending high school parties with these people, and now people are getting married, people having babies. It's just crazy to me. Grateful that we're always around for each other's big moments, the good and the bad. There are just so many like thinking about the conversations we have now, we're talking about like investment properties and stock. And then like back in the day, we would talk about, the school certificate. Oh my God, what a throwback. And our exams and like what we were going to do at university. It's just really funny to me that, well, not funny, but like, it's just really magical to me, I should say, that all of the big moments in our lives, depending on what felt big at that moment, I have like this core group of few core groups of friends that I get to experience this with. And it's just very grateful for it this month, especially. I think the baby joining our lives has just really put some stuff into perspective, right? Okay, what else? I'm grateful for this podcast, for its growth, for so many of the incredible guests that we've already shared with you and that we will be sharing with you. I've learned so much just speaking with other people in my industry and other industries. And it's just incredible because I'm so grateful for these guests, but also for all of you who listen to this podcast, because you guys are the reason why I have this space to live out my dream every single day. So I'm grateful for all of you guys. What else? Oh my gosh. Last thing, I am also grateful for the many creative friends that I have who make beautiful things. So if you saw my Instagram story, it would have been yesterday. Yesterday. I shared the cutest sticker and pin made by one of my friends. It's probably not on my stories anymore by the time you're listening to this, but I'll stick all of her information in the show notes. Her name is Mighty, and her account on Instagram is Mighty Little Things. And I'm literally looking at the pin and the sticker now, and I'm going to put it on my laptop because I'm just obsessed with how cute it is. And so I'm grateful for really creative friends who bring incredible vision to life, so that my lack of ability to draw and to create in that way doesn't hinder the beauty that I get to experience in like my everyday life. There's no way I'd be able to design the kind of stuff that she designs, but because she's so creative and because we're such great friends, I get to experience this beauty in my life anyway. So that's part number one, things that have happened and things that I've received. So part number two, and this is where it starts to get a little bit more intentional than it might have in the past. So the second part is people I've interacted with and why I'm grateful for them. So this month, I'm grateful for my boyfriend, Glenn, for his patience, his understanding, and his love. Now, these are the elements of who he is that make me feel the gratitude. It's not like I'm grateful for him because he bought me McDonald's. Like I could be, but like that's not what I'm focusing on. I'm more focusing on who he is as a person. And then I talk about why I'm grateful for those particular aspects of his personality. So for his patience, understanding, and love, the actions that made me see that, made me want to celebrate those parts of his personality is because whenever my alarm goes off at 5 o'clock in the morning, he just rolls with it. He's like, all right, have a great day. Good luck with your meetings. Good luck with your call. Goes back to sleep despite the fact that I disturb his sleep every single morning. I'm unbelievably grateful because I don't know. I just feel like if the roles were reversed, I don't think I would be as gracious about it. So I'm quite grateful for him in that regard. I'm really grateful for my little sister, Jess, for her love and for her generosity. Those are the parts of her personality that have really shone through this month. She is in her first year of university, learning the ropes of a completely new area of study, by the way. She's absolutely killing it. And despite all of that, she is making time in her schedule and consistently makes time in her schedule to help me build my coaching business. There is so much that goes on behind the scenes that wouldn't actually happen if she wasn't around to help me. I'm not even just I'm a solo entrepreneur, but also I'm not at the same time because of her. So unbelievably grateful for Jess. One more. I'm grateful for my little brother, John. Or you guys might know him as CJ if you've known me for a while. I don't know. It's weird calling him John because he's just always been CJ to me. But anyway, I'm grateful for CJ for his persistence and his brutally honest nature. And the reason why I say that is because he plays basketball, I think maybe 5 out of the 7 days of the week. And he does this every single week. And, he's constantly sore and you're pushing his body to its absolute limits. Well, of course, still looking after himself and making sure he's recovering. But he's always the one that reminds me, either by his example or by the words he chooses to share with me, that I should know the difference between, soreness that means that it's time to rest and soreness that's kind of born out of my laziness to actually get up and work out. And so I'm really grateful that we have the kind of relationship where he can motivate me and push me. And it doesn't matter that we are have this huge age gap between us. We can still joke around and still be really honest with each other about all this kind of stuff. So That's part 2. Now, part 3 is gratitude about myself and how I've shown up for myself this month. I'm grateful for my passion and my caring. I think it's kind of like that's the kind of stuff that gets me up in the morning, right? That motivates me to try new things, to test my limits and to keep persisting with my dreams. It's like that feeling of, oh my gosh, imagine when I can make this happen, or imagine how the world could be a better place if this was actually what was happening instead of XYZ, for example. Like, it's all of these incredible ideas that I get inspired by. And then that passion that I have to actually get me out of bed to see it through. You know, it's that passion that got me to reach out to new clients this month. It's that passion that helped me build relationships with new potential business partners. I'm so excited to share all of that with you guys. There's so many things in the works, but I know that none of that stuff would have been possible without the passion that I cultivate daily. And so I'm really grateful for myself and for my passion. Whew. Now, that was a bit of a process. If you stuck around for that, let me just do a bit of a summary there. So you can see that when I talk about gratitude for people, including myself, I focus not just on the reasons why in terms of the actions that they take or the things that they do, but also about the parts of them and their personality that make them who they are. So it's not like I'm grateful for myself because I still get up every single morning and work out. Like, that could be something that makes me feel really grateful, but the part of me that makes me do that is my persistence or my passion or my perseverance. So that's the same thing, really, but you know what I mean. And the reason why this is so important is because we don't want to attach gratitude to things we get in return from other people, or gratitude for the things that we're able to like push out of ourselves, but rather gratitude over who we are inherently as people. I hope I explained that right. If you're listening to this and you're like, I have no idea what you're going on about, Sam, seriously, shoot us a DM on Instagram so I can make a better effort to explain it properly, because I just feel like gratitude is such an incredible practice, but leveling it up by making this tiny shift can just really elevate your gratitude practice and make it so that it's not something that's forced. Like, I'm grateful for today. I'm grateful for the sun. Like, obviously those are all things that we want to be grateful for, but when we're intentional about it, that's when it gets really like rooted into our being and it actually has those positive effects that we want it to have. But anyway, that was only question 2. So I'm going to keep powering on. Like I said, pause if you need to, but let's move on to question 3 for the sake of time. So question 3 is all about extracting the lessons from the last month. Now, the question that we're answering is, what are 3 lessons that you've learned this month? And as a follow-up, what action will you take to implement this lesson in the next month? So the reason why this question is so important is because, like I said earlier, in order for us to make the most of the time that we've given and the most of the time that we've already used, is to make sure that if there are any lessons or any golden nuggets or any pieces of information that we could take with us, if there's anything there, that we actually extract them, but not just like hold on to it. We actually like implement it in our own lives. Like, I remember when I first started personal development, I'd read a crap ton of books, have all of these like little post-it notes. I'd have like little like tabs, like sticky notes in my books that I can look at quotes, but I wasn't distilling any of that knowledge into my life. So really, I was just a professional learner, and none of the positive results that could have come from implementing those lessons was actually happening. I was, doing half the work. I was reading the content, but I wasn't actually applying it. And so this question makes sure that if there are lessons in your life that have happened in the past month, that not only are you extracting it and putting it out there, but you're also going to implement and take action. So let me give you some examples of my own so that you know what I'm talking about. So 3 lessons that I've learned this month and the actions I will take. See, this is the part where I stopped doing it myself and I was like, I should do a podcast episode on this. So this is going to be me thinking like live on the podcast. So lesson number 1 is when I go to sleep, wearing a jumper in winter, it's a lot easier to get out of bed the next morning, especially when I'm waking up super early. So backstory, I absolutely love the cold. And because I have multiple blankets that I sleep with, I'm usually fine to just like wear a t-shirt. Like I don't have to wear a jumper on top of that. I don't have to wear layers to stay warm. But the problem then becomes that when I get out of those many, many blankets, I am freezing in my t-shirt and no jumper. And so it takes me way a lot longer than it needs to actually get out of bed. So my action in relation to that lesson is to I'm going to remove one of the one of the blankets from the mountain of blankets we have on our bed, and I'm going to actually sleep with a jumper. The funny thing is that Glenn doesn't like Glenn gets cold very easily. So yeah, I have a feeling that my next month's gratitude is going to be him like dealing with my need for less blankets. So stay tuned for that. My second lesson is actually, you know what? My second lesson is that if I don't have a water bottle with me constantly, I will forget to drink water. So I'm one of those people that I don't drink water from a cup. Like I literally I don't know what it is. Like maybe I'm a princess, maybe I don't know what it is, but I also know like this is a lesson I've known for a while, but I lost my bottle like a couple months ago and then I just never replaced it. And because I've never replaced it, I noticed especially this month as it's getting colder that I'm forgetting to hydrate throughout the day. So my lesson or my action, sorry, for this lesson is I'm going to actually go and get a new water bottle. I'm going to take a photo and put it on Instagram so you guys know that I actually did that. And the third lesson that I learned this last month. Oh, the third lesson that I learned this last month, is that you can do anything, but you can't do everything. Now, if you've been following us on the podcast for the last month, you are probably sick of me saying this already, but it was like a huge, like, slap in the face moment for me this month. Like, it's something I've heard in the past, but just with how busy this month has been, like, and I'm not even talking like busy business wise, like personal wise was absolutely crazy at the same time as the regular craziness of business, that I had to accept that I couldn't do everything. You know, some things had to give. And this month, it was up to me to really intentionally choose, okay, what is going to give this month? Because it can't be my relationships. It can't be looking after my family and Glenn. It can't be my self care, and it can't be my mental health. So, what is going to give? Like, what in my business can give, or what in my daily routine can give, or what in my unbelievably like disempowering like habit of just watching Netflix or Disney Plus for like hours on end, what show is just not going to be kept up with this month, that kind of stuff. So I think that was a really big lesson for me, is that if I don't choose what's going to give, then it's going to likely be my sleep or my sanity, and I can't afford to lose either of those. So that was a big lesson for me. So oh, that was a lot actually. You know, I should probably be writing this down as I'm talking. I have my journal here, but I'm kind of just like speaking, so I'm probably going to have to listen back to this and write it all down, which is going to be fun. So question four. Question four invites us to take a look at how we spent the last month. So this usually works a lot easier if you have a calendar or a planner to look over. Like I meticulously put everything in my calendar. So this particular question is quite easy for me. Whereas my clients who prefer to not put things in a calendar sometimes struggle with this question. So really just do the best that you can with what you remember. Like I'm not saying you have to start using a calendar like religiously in order for this question to be worth anything. But if you do have your calendar or your plan, I definitely pull it out now if you haven't already, so you can have a flip through it. Because the question that we're going to answer is, are you happy with where you invested your time this month? And then your follow-up question is, what adjustments will you make for even better time investments in the upcoming month? Now, for me, thinking about April, I feel as though I was pretty good with where I invested my time. You know, there were definitely some things that kind of fell through the cracks, and things that I was like, oh, I'm going to get this done in April. And by the end of April, this is just like this, like these are the results, boom, 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 boom. And so many of them haven't actually come through. But I also know that that wasn't from a lack of trying or a laziness factor. It was really just because I chose to spend time with family and friends going through big milestones or really difficult health issues, and just like everything in between. You know, there was so much going on that, like, I know that the decisions I made about where I was investing my time was aligned with what was important to me, or what is important to me, I should say. And the reason why I'm saying all of this, and the reason why we say, are you happy with where you invested your time, rather than like, did you have a productive month or did you have a successful month? The answer can really shift, because if you asked me, did I have a productive month? The answer would be no. If you asked me, did I have a successful month? It would depend really. It's successful in terms of like business goals, because if that was the question, the answer would also be no. But since the question is, am I happy with where I invested my time? I can come to this reflection and be like, you know what? I actually am very happy with how I invested my time, because at the end of the day, I chose to do things that were in line with what was important to me at the time and in general. And so I just wanted to like make a point of that, is that in answering this question, if you feel like, oh my God, I set like 50 goals and I achieved like half of one of them, that doesn't necessarily mean that the answer to this question would be no. The answer to this question could still be yes, you are happy with how you invested your time, depending on the reasons why you chose to invest your time in certain things, if that kind of makes sense. I hope this makes sense. So yes, also use this opportunity to write down all the stuff you accomplished this month. Even if you say, yes, you're happy, or no, you're happy, there are still things you would have accomplished this month. Getting out of bed every single day, that is also an accomplishment. Make sure you write that down. Anything that is big or small, is worth celebrating. So if I was to think of my own, I was able to record podcast episodes this month with some pretty awesome guests. And I learned a lot from speaking to these guests as well, which just blows my mind. I'm just so grateful that I have the opportunity to speak to all of these really, really smart and like successful people who can give me all of their tips and tricks and hacks. And I can just like, I'm at the forefront of like, I'm literally learning every single day, which is awesome. What else? Oh, I started my in-person coaching workshops again this month, which has been absolutely phenomenal. They took a bit of a break, like because of COVID, and then also because school holidays, because a lot of the workshops I do are for high school students. So that started up again, and that's been absolutely phenomenal, because I love in-person events. I just love the energy. I love seeing people like face to face in real life. It's just been incredible. What else? I'll pick one more. Achievements. Oh my gosh. So I launched a new coaching mastermind with a new business partner of mine. Her name's Anna. I met her through the Tony Robbins Business Mastery community. And you know what? I'm just going to shamelessly like market our mastermind here. So if you're a coach, or you want to be a coach, and you're struggling with the business side of it, right? Like you're struggling with thinking about social media marketing and your finances and figuring out your ideal client. Maybe you have an offer and it's not attracting anyone. Maybe you don't have an offer and you don't know how to actually get clients booking in calls with you. Any part of the business side of coaching, that's what Anna and I are here to help you with. So both of us are mindset coaches who are trained by the best in the industry in coaching and business psychology. And we're only taking a few more people this round, because we want it to be intimate. We want to make sure that you get that one-on-one support. So if you are interested, shoot me a message, because I want to get you guys in there if you're interested. That'll be so much fun, and we get to build your coaching business together. So I'm going to move on from that. But that's question 4. So question 5, which is our final one, invites you to pick 2 areas of focus for this month. And the reason why I say 2 is because one of your focuses will be on self-care, and one of your focuses will be growth focused. This kind of takes care of the 2 main impacts to your well-being and fulfillment, being taken care of and constantly growing. So for the month of May, my self-care focus is... I decided that I was going to give myself the option to do a podcast walk in the evening to wind down. So we have a treadmill here at the house, and I tend to not do like any exercise in the evening if I can help it, because I feel like, that's my morning routine. Like I don't need to do it in the evening, but I have found that for some reason podcasts help me wind down. Like I don't know, I feel like that's totally normal, but my friends who like don't really listen to podcasts are like, doesn't it just feel like you're at school at 10 p.m? And I'm just like, no, because it's so interesting and I love it. And so I've decided that I know what's best for me, and I know myself better than anyone. And so if I need to relax, I'm going to do a podcast walk and give myself the option to do it. I'm not going to force myself to relax or force myself to sit in bed and like stare at the ceiling if I can't fall asleep. That's going to be my self-care focus, because not only is that, oh, that's kind of growth focused too, but it was more like the reason why I chose it for self-care was because I get into like cycles when I'm trying to sleep and I can't fall asleep. I'm like, oh my gosh, crap, I'm gonna have to wake up so early. I'm gonna have no energy. Oh my gosh. And it just goes round and round and round in circles. But I have found that on the few days that I actually do get up and do a bit of light movement, not like rigorous exercise, but like light movement, I go back to bed and it's so much easier to fall asleep and I'm calmer. And even if I have less hours, I wake up feeling more refreshed. So that's kind of a no-brainer. I don't know why I haven't started doing this more consistently, honestly, saying it out loud now. Yeah, I'm going to start doing that. I'll let you guys know how that goes. And my growth focus, okay, so my growth focus is going to be to consistently read 15 pages a day. So for the longest time, I've been aiming to read 30 minutes a day. And I've been successful on most days, but there are just some days where 30 minutes is just a really, really long time for me. Like 30 minutes is roughly like the length of a coaching discovery call. And so when things start to pile up, I've noticed that I've put reading like lower on my priority list, which I found is just not aligned with who I want to be and what I know works for me and works for my business and works for my own up leveling. So I've decided to switch it. So instead of 30 minutes a day, I'm going to make it 15 pages a day, however long that takes me, because I read pretty fast. So it shouldn't take me that long. But then that also means that because I'm not forcing myself to read for 30 minutes a day, will hopefully have some time to implement the lessons that I'm learning in the books that I'm reading. So that's probably what I'm going to do. Also, I did make a note here that if you're struggling to come up with an area of focus, you should go back to the quarterly goals that you set in the previous episodes that I talked you through that. We did a brain dump together and you completed like a menu of options for all the actions you could take to reach your goals. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, check out the quarterly planning episode, because it will definitely help with that. But if you have like wider or bigger goals, you can choose your self-care focus or your growth focus that will actually help you towards achieving those goals, so that everything's connected and you will slowly be making strides to achieving these like really, really big goals that you've set for yourself. Okay. Wow, that was a whole ass process. You know what? This actually went a lot faster than it usually takes me. I think it's because when I write, I tend to take forever, whereas when I'm talking, I just get it out. I'm not editing myself. I'm not wondering whether it makes sense, which I don't know if that's just made it more difficult for you guys. So like I said, if there's any part of this process that was confusing for you, literally send us a DM on Instagram. I will make sure to get to it personally, because this process has absolutely just changed the way that I see time and I perceive like months passing by. Normally I'd be like, oh my gosh, it's already the end of the month. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, like we're at a new month, but also at the same time, like, damn, I got a lot done this month and there's a lot to celebrate this month. And that's actually how I feel at the end of every single month, regardless. And I want that for you guys, because this is the way that we'll get to the end of 2021 and be like, this was an incredible year. So make sure you do that. Let's do a quick summary for the 5 questions. So question number 1 is, what is one incredible memory from the last month? Question number 2, who or what are you grateful for over the last month? Question number 3 is, what are the 3 lessons you've learned this month and what actions are you going to implement? How are you going to implement this lesson in the next month? Like, what actions are you going to take? Question number 4 is asking, are you happy with where you invested your time this month? And then to follow up, what adjustments will you make to have an even better investment? I don't think I did that. I'm going to have to go back and do that. And question number 5 is asking you to pick 2 areas of focus for this month, 1 self-care, 1 growth focused. So like I said, this was a whole process, and it feels like it sounds a little bit messy because I was kind of going through my own answers for them. So if you feel like you need to rewind, listen to it again, or really just download the resource through our Facebook community, all the information is there as well. But I highly recommend you do this. It doesn't have to be done like at the end of a month. Like you could do it at on the first of a new month if you wanted to. Like, it's not too late to, like, if it's already like the first week of the month by the time you listen to this, it's not too late to do it. I would still recommend doing it anyway, just because it gives you a really clear picture of where you've come from, where you are now, and where you want to go. And it's just incredible. It's an incredible feeling to know that you were able to squeeze as much of life out of the last month as you possibly could have. Time feels like it goes by so fast if you don't stop and slow down and actually appreciate every single day that makes up these months. So again, highly, highly, highly recommend going through this process. When you do so, make sure you also send us a message and let us know how it goes, because obviously this is the process that I go through. I want to refine it as much as I possibly can. So any feedback that you guys have for the process as well will mean that the next time we take anyone through this, it'll be just the best version of it that it possibly can. So I would love any of your feedback for it. And that's all I have for you guys today. So I'm so excited for you guys to, get this process underway. Tell me all about it and to start seeing the results of actually doing this consistently as well. So I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you are in the world from where you're listening to this. And I can't wait to see you on our next episode. But until then, take care.
So that's a wrap. If you loved today's episode, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and let us know why you loved it.
If you know someone who needs to hear this, then send it their way and share it to your stories, tagging us at Time Money Mastery.
Feel like you're wanting just a little more? Jump on over to our Facebook community. You can find the link in the show notes.
That's all from us today, fam. We'll see you soon.